Now, when we're talking about rental rates and leases, that stuff's not recorded.
Right. Hey, it's Kevin Amalsh, Pine Financial Group. We work together so you succeed. You found us here on YouTube. Please hit subscribe. We would love to build a community of more real estate investors so we could help you make money. Hey, we got a fantastic guest. We have a fantastic topic for today's video. You know, a lot of questions I get. First, Scott Kraft, the one and the only. Scott, the questions I get a lot is like, how in the heck do you come up with a rental price on your property that you're looking at buying?
Yeah, and you'd think that that would be really easy, but in reality, it's not that simple
Right.
to find what you should potentially price your rental property at. As opposed to sales, actual purchases and sales of real estate, leases are not made public record. So, when a house sells, that deed goes into public records. It's recorded with the county. You can find it all over the MLS. You can find it all over Zillow or Realtor.com or any of those websites that show actual sales. Now, when we're talking about rental rates and leases, that stuff's not recorded.
Right.
So, the question is, how do you go about trying to find, the best way to price your property? And there's really no perfect way to do it. So the best thing to do is just kind of look at a multitude of different areas and try to piece together as best you can.
So where do we look?
Yeah, so recently, at least in Colorado, within the last few years, they added a section to the MLS showing leases and showing properties for rent. Now, what I've found with that is it's typically the higher end rentals that are on there. So if we're talking 5, 6, up to $7,000 or $8,000 a month, those typically get listed.
We're not buying those.
Right. That's not the type of rental property I own. But that being said, there are also the more typical 12, 13, $1,800 rental properties on there. It's just not a very complete list. Now, if you are able to find comps on the MLS, that's great because it actually shows photos. You can see the condition of the property. You can see the year it was built. You can see how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. It's a very complete list for that specific property.
And it's actually rented at that time.
Exactly. But it's not a very complete list of what is out there in the neighborhood just because there's only a few that actually make it to the MLS.
Right.
So
where else we go?
So there's a website that I really like to use. It's called rentometer.com. Frankly, I'm not sure where they pull their information from. I think I've heard they pull it from various rental websites. They pull it from Craigslist. They pull it from just any of those other websites where properties are shown for rent. And they compile all that information. You punch in an address and say, it's X number of bedrooms, X number of bathrooms, and it just runs a comparable market analysis for you.
Okay, what else? Is there anything else?
That's really about the best that I've found. That's how I do it. What do you do?
You know, it's interesting because I like both of those. Rentometer, I think it's a lot of their information from people inputting their data. So you could skip over it, but it does ask you how much you're renting your unit for, and I think it captures that information. So I think it's partly just what people are putting into the system, which makes me a little nervous if it's accurate or not, although I have found it to be fairly accurate. I used to knock on doors and say, I'm looking for rental property. What do you got? What's a neighborhood like? And just talk to neighbors. I'd always try to buy houses that way also. Never bought a house that way, but it was kind of fun to get to know some of the neighborhoods and the neighbors. Then I just started going to the web. So online classifieds, apartment.com, for example. Just Google the address and the word rent in it, and you'll find different ways that different websites that'll show comparable rentals in that area. And now I don't go out and rent my properties. I have a leasing agent do it. Even on the properties that I manage myself, I still hire a leasing agent to find my tenants for me. So I'll call them and ask them what I should rent it for. When I'm analyzing a property and I'm looking to see what it would rent for, I don't want to bug my leasing agent until I have a contract on it. So I'll just Google the address and then I'll use your tools as well. I use Rentometer as well.
Sure. And one of the things I do, if it doesn't help so much if you're actually analyzing a deal, deciding what to pay for it, whether you should buy it or not. But let's say you have a rental property and it's coming up vacant and you're trying to decide, well, have rates increased? What can I rent it for now? One of the things I do, and because I manage my own properties, so I put tenants in there, I find them, I get them leased up. So what I typically do, if I'm trying to push the rates, I'll try it at a specific rate higher than what it's currently rented for. And the rental market is so hot right now.
Yeah.
If I don't get someone within a week or two, tops, really within a week, I would say, it's time to drop it down and just let the market dictate what that rate is.
That's a good strategy. I like it. Any closing words, advice on coming up with a rental amount for a property?
Yeah, I would say really the biggest thing is there's no scientific way to do it. You have to try and get creative and pull information from here and there and just really just do the best you can.
And honestly, it sucks to say, but sometimes it's a guess until you own the property and you actually try to rent it.
Unfortunately.
You just got to get as close as you can and be as safe as you can, and maybe back off that number a little bit when you're running your numbers just to be extra safe, because you don't really know until you know.
Right.
Well, that's all we got for today. If you need any advice on rental properties, fix and flips, financing your real estate, I'm sure Scott would love to chat with you about it. Scott@pinefinancialgroup.com, or you could check us out at pinefinancialgroup.com.